is TOS Television, your digital first Pan-African news network. I am Abigail Ukmade, and this is Africa Now. Masten Wanjala, a self-confessed serial killer who escaped from custody 2 days ago, has been killed by villagers in Bungoma town, Western Kenya, police say. Authorities had launched a massive manhunt for the fugitive, who admitted to killing more than 10 young boys during a 5-year period. Wanjala posed as a football coach to lure his victims to secluded areas, after which he attacked them. In some cases, he took them as hostages for ransom. He also confessed to drugging them and in some cases, drinking their blood. And in a similar development, a mob lynched a military police officer after he killed a 5-year-old girl when he'd fired at a car at a checkpoint in the capital of Cameroon's English-speaking southwest region on Thursday, the defense ministry said. The girl's death sparked protests in Bua, with demonstrators marching her body to the regional governor's office. The ministry said in a statement that the vehicle's driver initially refused to stop at the Jean-Marie checkpoint and then tried to pull away from the officers, who had managed to force him to a halt by firing warning shots that hit little Carol Luis Indiale on the head. An Italian judge on Thursday suspended the trial of 4 Egyptian security officials over the disappearance and murder of an Italian student who was killed in Egypt because of concerns the men might not know about what they had been charged with. Judge Antonella Capri, after more than 7 hours of deliberations, ruled in favor of court-appointed defense lawyers who had argued that the proceedings would be void if there was no evidence that the 4 Egyptians knew about the case. The decision means the case will now return to a preliminary court that will have to decide whether to make a fresh effort to locate the 4 senior officials and hand them their wreaths. And to security matters, a telecoms blackout will be maintained in large swaths of northwest Nigeria because it is helping the armed forces crack down on bandits responsible for a wave of abduction and attacks, said Lucky Irabor, Nigeria's chief of defense staff. All telephone and internet services were shut down in the whole of Zamfara state in early September, and the blackout was later extended to parts of Katsina, Sokoto and Kaduna states as military operations against the bandits intensified. Bandit gangs who camp in remote forests and travel by motorbikes have kidnapped more than 1,100 children from their schools and have also targeted villagers and people traveling by road. In most cases, they have demanded ransoms, and many have been paid, although the details are rarely made public. Turkey has expanded its exports of armed drones by negotiating sales deals with Morocco and Ethiopia. The move risks fueling an existing friction in an already strained relations between Ankara and Cairo, which is at odds with Addis Ababa over the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam on the Blue Nile. Official data shows Turkey's defense and aviation exports rose sharply to Morocco and Ethiopia in the past 2 months, but do not provide details of drone sales. The growing interest in armed drones is a boost for the Turkish government as it tries to increase exports to help ease its economic problems and underlines the growing importance of armed drones in modern warfare. This is your digital first Pan-African news network, TOS Television. You are watching Africa Now. More stories coming your way after the break. So stay tuned. Welcome back. South African banks say they have to keep funding at least some coal projects for now because an immediate halt would put huge political and economic strains on a nation that relies on the most polluting of fossil fuels. The top 4 banks in the country have started to withdraw financing, with Nedbank and First Round settling deadlines of 2025 and 2026 respectively to end funding for new thermal coal mines. Both have stopped lending to a new coal-fired power plant. Ending funding for coal, that is a major driver of climate warming emissions, but also a relatively cheap form of power generation relied upon by many emerging economies, is in the spotlight ahead of a UN climate conference in Glasgow, Scotland in November. Months after authorities loyal to Eswatini's absolute monarch quelled an early round of demonstrations using tear gas and water cannons, protests calling for reforms in the southern African country have again flared up. Rage against King Matswani III has been building for years. The 53-year-old monarch, who has denied claims of tyrannical rule and of using public money to fund a lavish lifestyle in July, called protests against his rule satanic and said the protesters had taken the country backwards. The Swaziland Association of Students have called for a nationwide protest on Friday. 6 people in Rwanda, including a journalist and members of an opposition party, accused of publishing rumors allegedly intended to spark an uprising, have been arrested, the Investigation Bureau said on Thursday. Critics have accused President Paul Kagame's government of human rights abuses. Kagame denies such accusations. And to health matters, a second case of Ebola was confirmed in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, the same day that medics began a vaccination campaign there, and a week after a 2-year-old boy died of the disease, raising fears of another outbreak. The second case is a 42-year-old woman who tested positive in the city of Benin City that was an epicenter of the 2018 to 2020 Ebola outbreaks that killed more than 2,000 people and infected more than 1,000 others. Further genomic sequencing is needed to determine if the latest case is linked to previous outbreaks or if it came from a new source. And in sports, the husband of long-distance runner Agnes Tirop, 2-time world championship bronze medalist who was found dead at her home, has been arrested by Kenyan police on Thursday. Emmanuel Rotich, who was detained in the coastal city of Mombasa, will face charges once investigations are completed, an official said. Kenyan police on Friday said they were still deciding where to arraign the husband. And that is it on Africa Now. For more updates, to visit our website at www.tostvnetwork.com. Follow us and like our social media handles on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And remember to subscribe on YouTube to stay with us and enjoy more programs on TOS Television Network. I am Abigail Okwade. Thanks for watching.